So, we have a very interesting MCU story for you today. This article is from ScreenRant.com. The MCU breaks a 16-year franchise record with its first ever Razzie nomination. After several years without a single nod, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has finally received its first Razzie Awards nominations for a 2023 project. Now, I'm sure most of you know what the Razzies are, but for those of you who don't know, the Razzies is short for the Golden Raspberry Awards, which are a satirical award show, and they award basically the worst movies every year, kind of the opposite of the Oscars. So I think it certainly speaks to the decline of the MCU, and we've talked about that, of course, extensively on this channel, and now we're beginning to see the decline being recognized with Razzie nominations. So the article goes on to say, after 16 years, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania has become the first Marvel Cinematic Universe project to receive a Razzie Awards nomination. The Golden Raspberry Awards, commonly known as the Razzies, honor the worst movies of the year. While there have been some bad MCU movies, no Marvel Studios film had ever been nominated for a Razzie, but that has finally changed, and again, it's another new low for the MCU. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Marvel Studios received not only its first nod, but also multiple nominations at the 2024 Razzie Awards. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor, Worst Director, and Worst Prequel, Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel. Obviously, this film is a sequel. In the Worst Supporting Actor category, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania's cast received 2 nominations for Michael Douglas and Bill Murray's performances as Hank Pym and Krylar, respectively. Now, I think an MCU film getting a Razzie nomination was inevitable, given how the quality of the films has really gone down in recent years, and I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was a very poor film, but clearly The Marvels was way worse as a movie. And I think it's a bit harsh for the performances of Michael Douglas and Bill Murray to be singled out. I don't think they were the film's weak points at all. In fact, I thought their performances were perfectly decent. It's just the story lacked imagination, the character journeys were uninteresting, the main character of Scott Lang / Ant-Man just kept getting upstaged by 3 strong female characters, the CGI was poor and lacked believability, I found the ending to be dissatisfying. But if any MCU movie deserved a Razzie nomination for 2023, it had to be The Marvels, surely. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't make the cut. Although, as some people have pointed out, perhaps the ultimate insult for The Marvels is that it didn't even get recognized for the Razzies, that it got snubbed entirely. Perhaps it's that bad. You know it's bad if the Razzies don't even recognize you. The Marvels had a villain called Dar-Benn, who I think was much worse than Kang, the most one-dimensional, underdeveloped and cliched antagonist I think the MCU has ever produced. Mind you, Kang was pretty bad in his own right. The story was incoherent, with slipshod, barely explained justifications for much of the moving around the galaxy. Again, the CG was terrible, which is a trend in recent MCU movies and productions. There was zero sense of danger for the characters, or any real peril, consequences, or significance from the developments taking place on screen. The movie just felt so utterly generic and low energy in its execution and writing, very bland. And we know that it was effectively heavily reconstructed in the editing process, and it shows in the inconsistent pacing and plotting. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania may have deserved all of the criticism that it got for being among the weakest MCU movies, and it certainly was a precedent setter considering it was unsuccessful at the box office. But I think The Marvels was much more deserving of a Razzie nomination, and certainly more than one of them. Besides which, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania's weakest point was not its acting performances, which I thought were fine across the board, but in fact it was its CGI, and there are plenty of examples throughout the film of bad CGI. So what do you guys think? This does represent another bad precedent for the declining MCU, but do you think The Marvels was robbed of a Razzie nomination? Or did Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania deserve these nominations more? Either way, this kind of thing would have been unthinkable for the MCU just a few short years ago. no way would a Razzie even be considered for any of the MCU movies during its first 3 phases. The quality of the writing and the filmmaking was simply far superior to what it is at present. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.